My name is Jaylani. I live with my husband, Theodore. Together, we run a set meal restaurant. This restaurant, named Sunflower, is a place that my grandfather had lovingly maintained for years. It has many regulars from the local area and has been loved for a long time. However, my grandfather, who had always been energetic as the owner, was also battling cancer. I can't just sit around in a hospital room. I'll work at Sunflower until the end. Even as his condition worsened, my grandfather never complained. He kept serving delicious food with a smile on his face, chatting with regular customers. Today, surrounded by his family, he breathed his last breath. My grandfather named me, his granddaughter, his successor for the restaurant. Maybe he had realized his time was near. He left a detailed will, including instructions about the inheritance of the shop. Accepting my grandfather's will, I decided to become the owner of Sunflower. Thankfully, even after my grandfather passed away, the customers didn't stop coming. The employees who had been working for us continued to serve faithfully. Having watched my grandfather's cooking all my life, I was confident that I could continue to serve dishes that tasted just like before. Perhaps it was because I was cooking with all my heart to keep the restaurant going, but the regular customers who were used to my grandfather's cooking gave positive feedback. This taste! It's just like your granddad's. It feels like he's still here even though he's gone. The regulars were delighted that they could continue to enjoy my grandfather's flavors. Sunflower has been thriving just like when my grandfather was around, and I'm more motivated than ever. However, since my grandfather passed away, my husband has started to show dissatisfaction. Normally, a man would be the owner of a restaurant. I don't get why you inherited it. I'm his granddaughter. That's why. The restaurant is in my name, but we're running it together, so it doesn't really matter, does it? Well, I guess. My husband seemed to have wanted to be the owner and sometimes vented his frustrations, but I'm the one who mainly cooks. Since my grandfather's time, my husband has mainly been handling the cash register, deliveries, and shopping. An owner who can't cook doesn't quite fit the bill. I could have given in a little and not been so stubborn, but my grandfather had nominated me. Once nominated, I didn't want to disregard my grandfather's wishes. Jaylani, can I have another one of these? Sure, got it. The restaurant is still bustling, and I'm busy every day. Then, one day, someone paid a visit. Hey, big bro. Long time no see. It was my husband's younger brother. This brother-in-law of mine was quite a troublesome character. Despite his age, he didn't hold a steady job and was always flitting about, playing around. To be honest, I found him difficult to handle. Last year, he moved far away, saying he was going to find work, but it seems he quit that job and came back. Oh, welcome back. Despite this, my husband cherished his younger brother. My husband seemed glad that his brother had returned to our hometown. I heard the old man passed away. You took over the shop, right, bro? No, not me. No way! Your wife? Seriously? A woman running a shop? That's hilarious. Unaware of the annoyed looks from the customers, my brother-in-law roared with laughter. I felt silly engaging with my brother-in-law and decided to ignore him. Since we're family, it's free, right? Yeah, sure. My brother-in-law ate a large meal, drank beer, and left without paying. That's how unreasonable he is. Our relatives come here too, but they always pay. It's unfair to make only your brother free, so please charge him next time. It's fine. He doesn't have money. It's okay to give him a break. My husband seemed to be siding with his brother to the end. After that, my brother-in-law regularly visited the restaurant and ate and drank without paying. Each time, I warned my husband, but he would not listen. Perhaps because I was being persistent, my husband became grumpy and talked less. As our relationship worsened, my brother-in-law started coming to the restaurant more frequently. And each time he would whisper with my husband in the back of the kitchen. I'm sure they were bad-mouthing me. I tried not to mind their behavior and kept cooking. While glancing at me working hard, my brother-in-law had this conversation with my husband. Can't we somehow make this restaurant yours, bro? The name is in my wife's name, so... The location is good. There are many customers. Let's make it your restaurant and monopolize the profit. It must be hard being under your wife's thumb like this. Well, yeah, but... My brother-in-law had set his sights on Sunflower and was scheming to make it their own. Taking advantage of our marital strife, he was trying to get my frustrated husband on board. But how are we going to make it our restaurant? I have a good idea. The two began to quietly plot. My husband agreed with his brother's opinion, and they decided to put their plan into action. The next day was the restaurant's day off. My husband left early, leaving me alone. Even though it was my day off, I remembered that the kitchen was dirty. I decided to visit the restaurant and spend the whole day cleaning. When I tried to open the door of the shop, it was unlocked. Thinking I'd forgotten to lock it yesterday, I rushed in, and there were my husband and brother-in-law. "Oh, you're here!" I was surprised because the door was unlocked. "It's our day off today. What are you doing?" As I called out, the two of them smirked as if they were up to something. "Actually, we have something to talk to you about. Since you took over this restaurant, you've been getting too big for your boots, and it's bothering us." "I'm not getting big-headed." "No, you are. Don't you think so?" "I do." "You're happy because the restaurant's thriving and profitable." "What are you trying to say?" The two of them spoke as if they were making fun of me, which frustrated me. As I showed my angry expression, my husband started to spread out some documents on the table. "I'm sick of your attitude. Let's get a divorce." The document was a filled-out divorce application. Surprised by the sudden announcement, I was stunned. "Huh? What? What do you mean?" I was shaken, unable to understand what my husband was thinking. The first thing that crossed my mind was about the continuation of the restaurant. There are a few employees, but running the restaurant alone after the divorce would surely be hard. "This is too sudden. I don't understand what you're saying. It would be hard for me to keep running the restaurant alone if we divorce." "About that, we're going to buy this restaurant. We're going to start it anew as our own, so we want you to leave." I couldn't understand what my husband was saying at all. "It's such a waste to continue running a dull diner in such a good location with so many customers. We're gonna make this restaurant better." "That's why? Please sign the divorce papers and leave quickly." The two of them were saying such absurd things that I couldn't keep up. "This is a restaurant that my grandfather protected. The profits are already enough. We should continue as we have been for the sake of the customers." "So you're saying you have no intention to grow? In a little while, a restaurant like this will go out of business. To prevent that, I'm saying I'll start a new restaurant." No matter what I said, I couldn't get through to them. Surely my husband must have been brainwashed by his brother. "Well then, we'll buy this restaurant for whatever price you want. We'll be able to earn it back quickly, so any price is fine." I couldn't stand the bullying attitudes of the two of them. "All right. If that's the case, I'll sell it for $50,000. Please wait for 2 weeks while I prepare the divorce papers and the contract. And during those 2 weeks, neither of you should come to the shop." Once I said I was selling the shop, the two of them were in high spirits. There was a reason I was giving up the shop so easily. They were selfishly talking without knowing about it. In the meantime, I managed to run the shop alone. "Huh? Where's your husband?" "Well, we're actually getting a divorce." "What? So suddenly? So, will you be running Sunflower alone then?" "No, my husband is buying the shop. I'll be leaving in 2 weeks." The customers were surprised and looked genuinely disappointed. "But there's some good news, too." I quickly distributed flyers that I had made to the customers. When they saw it, their expressions immediately relaxed. And 2 weeks later, I presented the contract to sell the shop and the divorce papers. "There are no complaints with this, right?" My husband promptly signed the contract. $50,000. I'll transfer it to your account right now. So this is my shop from now on. My husband and brother-in-law were ecstatic. With them out of the corner of my eye, I packed up my belongings and left the shop. On my way to file the divorce papers, I was excited to see what the two of them were going to do next. My ex-husband and brother-in-law immediately started running the shop. "We've explained the situation to the employees, and even without Jaylani, the shop should run fine." "All right, let's make some money." With that, the two of them began to prepare for the day with enthusiasm. At 10 o'clock, when the shop usually opens, a different scene unfolded. "Why aren't the customers coming?" There were no customers who usually came as soon as the shop opened. The employees who had always been diligent about coming to work weren't at the shop either. My ex-husband tried calling the employees, but no one was answering. They had never experienced anything like this before, and the two of them began to panic. Rushing out of the shop, my ex-husband noticed a regular customer walking by. "Hey, you're our customer, right?" "Huh?
Yeah. I've been worried because you haven't come in yet. Come on in.
Didn't you say the wife quit the shop? I was coming here for her cooking, so maybe I won't come anymore.
Don't say that. We'll definitely serve something delicious.
My ex-husband somewhat forcefully guided the customer into the shop. The customer reluctantly entered the shop and started to look at the menu to place an order.
What's with this menu? Since I'm the shop owner now, I've decided to drastically change the menu.
The traditional sunflower set meals were nowhere to be found on the menu. The menu was filled with foreign words, and it seemed difficult for the customer to understand, causing a drop in enthusiasm even before ordering.
Then I'll have this steak. Understood.
My ex-husband and brother-in-law enthusiastically started cooking. The customer, who had never seen my ex-husband cook, anxiously awaited the meal.
Hey, is it ready yet? Sorry for the wait.
Finally, 40 minutes after the order was placed, the meal was ready. When the steak was brought to the table, the customer's eyes widened in surprise.
What is this?
What my ex-husband served could hardly be called a meal. There were only 3 pieces of meat in the center of the plate. The outside was burnt, and the inside was raw. There was no sauce or anything else, just a bowl of bread and soup.
We used high-quality ingredients, so we only used salt and pepper for seasoning. We cooked it to bring out the aroma of the outside and enjoy the rare inside.
The customer didn't touch the steak, which looked like a failed dish at first glance. Upon closer inspection, the soup appeared to be instant.
I'm sorry, but I can't eat this.
The disgruntled customer stood up, ready to leave the shop. My ex-husband was shocked that not a single bite was taken.
Customer, you still have to pay. That will be $30. $30? You're joking. I can't pay for this garbage-like meal.
The furious customer stormed out of the shop. Taken aback by the unexpected turn of events, my ex-husband and his brother were stunned. At the same time, they realized they were in a dire situation. Neither my ex-husband, who had barely ever cooked, nor my freeloader brother-in-law could possibly run a restaurant. They should have realized this if they thought about it, but they were too focused on making money. From that point on, not a single customer visited the Sunflower under their management. Meanwhile, I had started a new shop in a different location. It's Sunflower 2. The employees who had worked at the original Sunflower are also with me. This shop was also inherited from my grandfather. My grandfather had been concerned about the aging sunflower and its durability, so he had built a new shop in a different location. He wanted to announce the new shop once it was finished, but he passed away before the shop was completed. This shop was entrusted to me. I had not disclosed the existence of this new shop to my ex-husband. During the 2 weeks I handed over Sunflower, I advertised the new shop. Regular customers who wanted to eat my food all followed me. Thanks to that, the shop has been bustling since its opening day. We have enough margin to hire a few part-time workers. Since I have the $50,000 I received from my ex-husband, I can also add to the employees' salaries. Here, I began to offer my original dishes. To broaden our customer base, I came up with menus for younger people and even weaning food that small children could eat. This has attracted a lot of attention, and the number of families visiting has increased. While keeping my grandfather's flavors, I'm growing the shop to fit the times. The daily hustle gives me a sense of fulfillment. Meanwhile, my ex-husband and his brother were at a loss in the old Sunflower. They had borrowed a large amount of money to pay me $50,000, and now they are receiving demand letters.
What are we going to do about this? You're the one who suggested this, right? Figure it out!
The brother-in-law, whose predictions had gone awry, was holding his head in his hands. Then he had an idea.
I've got a great plan.
Hatching a scheme, the two of them suddenly showed up at my bustling restaurant during the busy lunch hour.
Jaylani, please help us!
Despite the restaurant being packed with customers, the brother-in-law was shouting loudly.
My brother hurt his arm and can't cook anymore. We'll give the old restaurant back. Could you return the money as well?
You guys took over the old restaurant, remember? You signed the contract. You need to take responsibility and make it work. I brushed off the brother-in-law's plea and was about to return to my work when my ex-husband appeared from behind him, looking pained. Jaylani, help me. Thinking he was being overly dramatic, I was about to turn back to the kitchen when the restaurant became noisy. Whoa, what's that? That looks painful. Is he okay? When I looked towards my ex-husband, seeing the customer stirring, I was taken aback. His fist was covered in a large bruise. Are you really injured? That's what I've been saying. Then go to the hospital right now. I quickly called a taxi and sent my ex-husband to the hospital. During my lunch break, I went to the hospital to check on him. When I arrived, he was just coming out, apparently finished with his examination. As I tried to ask what had happened, the two of them avoided my gaze and hurriedly ran off. Feeling suspicious about their behavior, I decided to inquire at the hospital reception. I believe a man named Theodore was seen here earlier. Has his examination finished? I came to pick him up. Please wait a moment. I had them check on the status of his examination using his name. However, the receptionist was looking puzzled. There's no record of such a consultation. Perhaps he went to a different hospital? My ex-husband hadn't received an examination. Remembering the sight of the two running away, I felt they were hiding something. I quickly set off to pursue them. A few minutes of driving later, I spotted my ex-husband and brother-in-law walking. I immediately stopped the car, grabbed my ex-husband's arm, and called out to him. I knew it! Looking at the fist of the arm I grabbed, the bruise was completely gone. My ex-husband and brother-in-law tried to run, but I mustered all my strength to stop them. Seeing my furious expression, they quickly calmed down. Why is the bruise gone? You weren't injured after all. Well, running a restaurant's hard. The old Sunflower hardly gets any customers, so we can't make money and can't pay back the debt. That's why I pretended I was injured and couldn't continue the restaurant to try to get the money back. I'm appalled. You were trying to deceive me with such a childish lie. I let go of the two. Don't involve me in your affairs from now on. You two figure out what to do with that restaurant. I got back in my car and returned to my restaurant. Through the mirror, I could see the two hanging their heads in shame, which made me feel pathetic. Afterwards, the two quickly put Sunflower up for sale. I think they made that decision to repay their debt, but due to the building's age, they struggled to find a buyer. They received a flood of debt collection letters and were working around the clock. This life suits them, having thrown away something precious due to their greed. As for me, my newly renovated restaurant is thriving even more than before, with sales doubling. One of my regular customers offered to apprentice with me, so now I have a disciple. I often remind him that running a restaurant is not as easy as my ex-husband thought. I want to continue to carry on my grandfather's restaurant for the foreseeable future.